How's it? Welcome back. So here is one of my favorite, I was going to say definitions, but I think explanations fits this a bit better. So here's one of my favorite explanations for what your third eye or mind eye is, plus a little exercise that you can do to directly witness it yourself, get some practice at using it, and then, hopefully incorporate it more into your life. So this is easiestly done with a light machine, these meditation devices. This one right here happens to be the Loom Light by Light Bath. But like really, a quick flashing flashlight or something like that would work just as well too for this. And so what you're gonna do is you want to lie under it, right? Keep your eyes closed so you don't go blind. And then be looking until you can see some sort of pattern or something coming through your closed eyes that you can see with the light flashing on them. Whether that be like a center point or like maybe lines or like a grid or something popping up, right? And then get used to seeing that pattern without using your real physical eyes. Where sometimes if you're using these, or even if you're just doing classic hypnagogic meditation, and you're watching too much with your real physical eyes, it can start to get really uncomfortable and kind of feel like you're straining them. So a way I like to think about it is your eyes should be relaxed, and what feels to me at least like they're relaxed and down center, right? So I don't got any muscular action going to my eyeballs. Everything that I'm seeing while I'm still holding this viewed pattern in sight is I'm watching with my mind's eye or my third eye, however it is you want to think about it. And it's really that simple. You could also take this same approach and apply it to a straight up hypnagogic meditation practice where you're lying down to go to sleep, entering into stage one of sleep, but you don't have this bright thing flashing at your closed eyes. Where what you want to do for that is you want to be having your attention applied to whatever is happening behind your closed eyes, so you want to look for like a soft diffuse spot or, something else that jumps out to you that isn't uniform pitch blackness. Hold that as your object of attention while watching it with your mind's eye and not your real physical eyes. And boom, there you go. That's your third eye. So with that said, that wraps it up. Until the next video, keep your meditation practices legit. How's it? Welcome back. So I've been sick for the past couple of days and battling the flu. So I've been spending a lot of time in bed, of course, which sucks. But on the plus side is I had a lot of downtime and the opportunity to make use of my light machine. This happens to be the Loom Meditation Light by Light Bath. And it's been a while since I've made some videos on some of these specific ways you can make use of these lights. So I thought I would cover that this morning as I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Before getting to that though, I wanted to address one of the common things you'll see out there when it comes to frequency type devices. And now to be clear, I don't remember seeing this specifically about this light machine here, but something you'll see a lot of times out there when it comes to light machines, binaural beats or hemi-sync, my machines and stuff like that, is there will be a lot of claims out there that it can cure and fix all sorts of things like sicknesses, for example, or body aches or maybe even diseases and stuff like that. And so to cut to the chase, do I think that me using this light while I was sick actually helped me, get better quicker? And so, no, I don't think that was the case. Although I will say that I got hit by the flu way less hard than my kids did. They were rocking like a 103.7 fever well on Tylenol. Mine wasn't that bad. I got up to 101, but on Tylenol I was hovering in like the 99s or low 100s. So, I didn't get as sick as my kids did, but do I think it was from this light? Not necessarily. However, I will say the light definitely helped me out in this one respect. And that is simply like distracting me and get my mind off of feeling so sick and crappy. In particular, I always found myself doing it a lot when like I was at the end of, the Tylenol. I just took it again, kind of waiting for it to kick back in. And this worked great at, during that half an hour, 40-minute time frame to really get my mind off of feeling so bad. And so in that sense, I definitely think it was beneficial. So yeah, that's the first video. And then next up, we'll get into some of these specifics on ways you can actually use these machines to help your meditation practice. How's it? Welcome back. So how do you use light machines? In this case, this is the Loom Meditation Light by Light Bath. It basically works by flashing this bright light at your closed eyes. So how do you use these things for meditation purposes? Now granted, I don't know what else you'd be using them for besides meditation purposes, but my favorite way to explain on how to use one of these things, because there is certainly a learning curve to getting used to them, especially if you don't have much of a meditation practice at all outside of using one of these devices, is to simply find something that jumps out to you, some sort of pattern you see as you lie underneath these flashing lights. So a really easy example, one that can be seen pretty much immediately if you're looking for it, would be like a center point, or maybe you see like lines starting to appear, like a grid shape forming. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you find something in the flashing lights that you can lock your awareness to and simply hold it there as long as you can. And so in this case, I think it would be very beneficial if you already had an established meditation practice, so you're used to getting your awareness and locking it onto something and trying to keep it there. But really, it doesn't take that long. Like once you can kind of find that pattern and lock your attention to it, you can pretty quickly start to kind of morph and change. The pattern will change, maybe movement will start to be involved in it. As you get deeper into it, you can start to feel some physical sensations that go along with the movement. Full-on imagery and stuff can start popping up. So it really can get pretty trippy, but at least for the beginning stages, all you got to do is find some sort of pattern that jumps out to you underneath this flashing light and lock your attention to it as long as you can. If you get distracted, which you absolutely will, not a problem at all. Just kind of regather yourself, look for a pattern, maybe the same pattern or a different pattern, it doesn't matter. Lock your attention to it and ride that out as long as you possibly can. Now, some things that can kind of help with this here, and this actually leads to what is one of my favorite explanations or definitions of what your third eye actually is. So when you're seeing this pattern, you don't want to be looking at it with your actual physical eyes. As you get kind of longer into the session, you start to feel really uncomfortable and make your eyes kind of hurt in a way or feel like they're straining. You want to watch it with your mind's eye or your third eye. So a simple way I like to explain this is you want to completely relax your eyeballs while keeping this pattern visual in view. And your eyes, at least to me, feel like they kind of rest like slightly down center, right? But you want basically all your attention to be placed off of your physical eyes and be focusing more on your third eye, watching that pattern, and then building it out and progressing it from there. And it really is that simple. So with that said, that wraps it up. And until the next video, keep your meditation practices legit. So when it comes to using these light machines for meditation purposes, this one in particular is the Loom Meditation Light by Light Bath. And you're lying underneath the flashing light with your eyes closed, waiting to see a pattern in it so that you can use that pattern as your object of attention for this meditation session and start to build it out from there. What do you do if, as you're lying underneath this light, you don't notice or see any pattern at all? Well, the solution to this is really quite simple, just like this entire, meditation technique is in general. And that is to simply just sit back and wait, because, sooner than later, you'll probably be able to notice some sort of pattern popping out in there, whether it's like a center point or it's some lines or like a grid forming, something will pop up, right? So simply just sit back and wait for that to happen. Now, different sessions in here have different frequencies or paces that it's flashing the light at your closed eyes, and certain flashing sessions are easier to see patterns in than others. Like the pretty typical type for all these light machines is a pretty fast, quick flashing. And so I find those to be really easy to find some sort of pattern, as you lie underneath the lights to lock your attention to. It will tend to pop up pretty quickly. But then you can have some other sessions where like it's flashing really, really fast, where it's almost like a verge on steady light beam. And that can be a bit harder to see a pattern in, but I find even with those, if you just sit back and wait long enough, something will certainly start to pop up. Like one that I was seeing just last night as I was doing this, is it looked like there was like rivers of flowing sand kind of just like streaming across it all over the place. So I could use that as my object of attention and go from there. And then I do also think like the particular color of the light, kind of helped it look more like flowing sand streams instead of like, I don't know, water streams or something like that. Interesting side note is that this one is basically just like a yellow or a white bright type of light. But as you get deeper into it, colors will start to pop up. And they do have different types of light and mind machines that actually do flash different colors, in which case, obviously it's easier to see colors in those sessions. But yeah, off track. Interesting side note there. Colors can pop up even though it's generally just white and yellow light coming out of this thing. And then even some of the other sessions will have like a far slower kind of just pulsing in of light, like it pulses in and it fades out. So even that too can work perfectly fine at seeing these patterns. Now those tend to be probably the hardest out of the three, right? Like your typical pretty fast flashing, your super fast flashing, and then you have these kind of slower pulsating in and out lights. But that can work great too. And one of the benefits to this kind of slower flash is that when it fades in and you can see the pattern, and then it kind of fades out and blacks out again, is that when you do start to see that pattern and you're going in and out, it can pretty quickly start to induce a feeling of movement in there as it like fades in and fades out. You can start to get this kind of pull in, pull out feeling going on, which touches a little bit on like when you do have a full-on wild and you can transition straight into a REM style dream from hypnagogia. Very often you have this neat kind of pulling sensation as you're getting like pulled into the dream. And so if you're wondering what that feels like, the slow pulsating sessions under the light can kind of give you a glimpse at what that feeling can feel like. And one of the good benefits to that too, I think if you got used to what that pulling sensation is, it can help you stay within the dream when you do have a full-on wild. Because what happens the vast majority of the time is you're in this hypnagogic state, boom, you get pulled into the dream, it's super awesome, but then the excitement or the physical sensations of being pulled into the dream can wake you up too much and black everything out. So, getting used to that feeling under this light could actually truly be beneficial for your wild or wake initiated or wake induced lucid dreaming practice. But anyway, with that said, that wraps it up. Until the next video, keep your meditation practice legit. How's it? Welcome back. So I had a comment come in on one of my recent posts about the light machines where this person was asking, how come I don't go too deeply into the specifics about the different frequencies that these lights flash at? And it is kind of funny timing on that comment though, because in the video that I will be posting today when I'm talking about how to use these light machines to meditate with, I do kind of bring up the different frequencies, although I still don't call them out by name. I just kind of break it up into, is it the really, really fast flashing type where it's almost like a steady beam of light? Is it the regular, just quick flashing type? Or is it the really slow, kind of more pulsating type of light? And I talk about the, how you can use the different speeds of the flashes to meditate with when using the lights. But the truth is, I don't call them out because I don't pay attention to it at all. Like, I had to double check this thing to see what the different frequencies that are available that it has. So it has like alpha, delta, gamma, and Schumann. And the reason why I don't call them out is because I honestly just don't pay attention to it. I just go strictly off of, the vibe and the feel that it's coming out at. And I never bother to look and see, oh, I like this, I like this rate of the flash. I wonder which frequency it is. I just never checked that out, honestly. And kind of the same thing goes, he wasn't bringing this up, but in previous videos where I've talked about binaural beats or hemisync, even with those, and I've been using those for many years, I still don't pay attention to the frequency that those binaural beats are set at. I just go off the vibe of it. Like, do I like the melody and the vibe of the track, or do I not? When it comes to the lights, do I like the intensity and rhythm of the flashing, or do I not? And that's all I go by. So, I just don't pay attention to it, which is why I don't bring it up. And this is also a bit of a blasphemous thing for me to say, but, just for me personally, the reason why I don't bother looking into it is like, I'm so skeptically oriented in my damn way of thinking that I admit that, these frequency devices can be useful for meditating. I mean, obviously, I think they can. I'm sharing ways on how to, use it just for that purpose. But I'm not sure how much I believe that the different frequencies actually matter as much as just the simple melody and vibe that it has going on with it. Like, back to the binaural beat things. Personally, I don't see much of a difference between a binaural beat hemisync meditation track versus just like, a generic meditation track that has nice melodies and sounds to it, but it's not binaural beat or hemisync at all. Like, I don't see much of a difference between the two personally. Which is why I don't get too deep into it. I do kind of assume that they work, and I have seen studies that have shown, at least for the hemisync and binaural beat stuff, that when you're using them, it really does help to change the dominant brainwave that are going on in your head if you're hooked up to like EEGs or however it is that they read these things. So I assume they kind of work in that sense, but again, I'm just not sure how much of a difference it makes, for the experience that you'll be having when using these different frequency devices. So anyway, that's my general thoughts on it. And thanks for the question. Until the next video, keep your meditation practices legit. Next up in our discussion about light machines, this one in particular being the Loom Meditation Light by Light Bath. where we'll talk about binaural beats or hemisync, and specifically Robert Monroe's gateway tapes, and mind machines, which is essentially where you combine the two together. Where in a previous post about this specific light, I was talking about how I combined it with Robert Monroe's gateway tapes, and the two combined together and complemented each other really well. However, the past couple of days, as I've been battling the flu, I've been opting for more of the silent approach, where I'm just using the general background ambient noise of my very noisy neighborhood. As anybody who watches my content regularly will know, we got like chickens all over the place, stray cats, just regular birds making a nest on top of my AC unit, my kids running around the house, the baby next door crying. But anyway, going for more of the silent approach, right? I didn't get to the point to where I used earplugs, but close the door and try to get it as quiet as possible. And it was really nice. And there was one thing in particular that I wanted to highlight when you're going with this approach and just having the general background noise going on versus loud chicken versus listening to like Robert Monroe's gateway tapes, for example. And that is when you can notice that some background noise you got going on, like for example, last night it was my fan, starts to dominate your attention and kind of take over and be combined with the images you're seeing underneath these flashing lights. And another kind of cool part to this as well is that when you start to notice that other sound come in and kind of be meshed up and melded with the visuals that you're seeing, is it can give you a glimpse at what it looks like when you get deeper into hypnagogia and actual dream sounds start actually popping up and being incorporated into it, right? Because it really is very similar in how that gets added into the visuals. You can kind of use that as a springboard to get you deeper into the hypnagogic state and just progress things a bit quicker. So interesting thing to try out there. God, those chickens are loud. We'll leave it at that until the next video. Keep your meditation practice legit. To wrap up this mini series that we got going on about using a light machine for your meditation practice, I'll cap it off by saying that this is just one of the techniques that you can use where, generally speaking, just about any meditation technique that you can find out there should work pretty well with when combined with a light machine. I just like this specific approach because I find it to be extra good for people who are brand new to using a device like this, or maybe even just like brand new to meditating in general. And then to recap what this very simple technique is you lie underneath the light, right? It's going to flash this bright light at your closed eyes. And then you want to try and look for a pattern that you can find behind your closed eyes and then use that as your object of attention. So, that could be like a center point, or maybe you see lines or a grid or something in there. Once you find that, lock your attention to it, hold it there as long as you can. If and when you get distracted and you lose the visual aspect of it, not a problem. Just put your attention back to what's happening behind your closed eyes. Look for some pattern, whether it's the same pattern or a different one, it doesn't matter. Lock your attention to it, hold it there as long as you can, rinse and repeat. One of the cool things about this specific approach, though, is it can be good training wheels to a straight up regular hypnagogic meditation practice, where it can get you used to lying down, paying attention to what's happening behind your closed eyes, looking for something that stands out to you in the non-uniform pitch blackness that you're seeing. Hold your attention to it, and then you can build out your hypnagogia from that point on. And yeah, I guess that's it. Until the next video, keep your hypnagogic meditation practice legit. How's it? Welcome back. So one more thing I'll throw in there, as we've been talking about one of the techniques you can use when using one of these light machines to meditate with, where you lie underneath it with your eyes closed. You try to find a pattern or something that you can see behind your closed eyes as the light flashes at your face. Then once you can find that pattern or something that stands out in the flashing, you use that as your object of attention, and then you build out the experience of your meditation session from that point onwards. And so what I wanted to bring up here is you can do a very similar approach with an open eye meditation as well. And so say like if you're looking at something with randomness in it. So like, say you're looking at tree bark or a popcorn ceiling, and then you could see like a face or some kind of design or picture pop out in that randomness. And then basically you just lock onto that point of view or that image, and then you just try to keep that in view as long as you can. And then that's a nice way to kind of get into this nice flow state. And you can also watch, even when you're doing this with say like a popcorn ceiling, you can actually watch that image that you're seeing like start to morph and change as you're staring at it, which can be a pretty trippy thing to experience. And so really it's like the exact same approach there. Another way to kind of look at it, and that might be a little bit easier because you can actually get these kind of images to pop out on purpose, is like with these old school Magic Eye books where a couple ways, you bring it really in, you pull it out, or you look at it from far away and you kind of cross your eyes and you can see an image pop out. And so these can be good because you can bring up the perspective or view on purpose. You can practice bringing those things into view and then just trying to keep your attention locked in on it as long as you can and use that as your object of attention. And now, of course, these won't really change like it would if you're looking at, say, popcorn ceiling and you see a face pop out, where that one can change. But it's just a nice way to kind of practice, getting your attention locked onto one particular perspective and then keeping it there as long as you possibly can. So a nice little way to do a little mini meditation session with that. So anyway, with this said, that wraps it up. Until the next video, keep your meditation practice legit. One of the cool things about this specific approach, though, is it can be good training wheels to a straight up regular hypnagogic meditation practice, where it can get you used to lying down, paying attention to what's happening behind your closed eyes, looking for something that stands out to you in the non-uniform pitch blackness that you're seeing. Hold your attention to it, and then you can build out your hypnagogia from that point on. And yeah, I guess that's it. Until the next video, keep your hypnagogic meditation practice legit.